Welcome back. This video is going to dive deeper into how I organized myself and designed my syllabus as a guide to use throughout the school year. Something to keep in mind is that subjects do not need to be taught in isolation. You may integrate a variety of subjects in a single lesson. In fact, some textbook adoptions have done this already for you. Another thing to keep in mind as we dive into this video is that I use the syllabus as a guide to make sure I designated the appropriate amount of time to everything I wanted to cover. However, flexibility is an absolute must when planning long-term goals. All that said, let's design a syllabus. The following subjects and/or resources are the ones I will include. Next, I add keywords associated with specific subjects. These are routine in nature. After my template is done, I look at my calendar to see how many weeks this school year is going to have. For this example, there will be 47 weeks of school. As you can see, all I do is copy and paste as many templates as I need. Next, I change all the dates to reflect the current school year. Once this step is done, I go in and add all the interrupters. For this step, you need to have an accurate school calendar. Remember past experiences when you may have forgotten to designate some time for a particular activity or practice. And assess your student population for those who participate in Pathfinders, adventurers, music, sports, or other such activities that may require your students to miss class instruction. Also, don't forget to include practice time for special programs you may need to prepare for. Once all the interrupters are in place in the appropriate week, I plan one subject at a time for the entire school year. You don't need a plan for the entire year like I did. You can choose to long-term plan by grading period, monthly, or whatever is easier for you. Remember that your planning is simply a goal and flexibility is always important. Let's take an easy one, handwriting. Since I teach multigrade, handwriting would be an independent type of activity that requires very little instruction. You may want to dedicate time the first few weeks of school to guide the children in learning how to properly read the guides provided for them. This will increase their independence from you as you teach them how to form letters. Next, I simply changed the lesson number because everything else was routine. On that note, it's a good idea to decide how you will provide your students feedback on their work. How will you know they completed it? What if certain letters or words need to be redone? It is important to make a decision on how you will manage things in your classroom. In another video, I will discuss different procedures that may be helpful. A good rule of thumb is that if something is flustering you in the classroom, take a moment to reflect on what procedure you have established. Perhaps you will find that tweaking it or establishing one will solve the issue. Returning to the topic at hand, Bible was another subject I had a routine for. Even though the lessons and activities varied, there was always one guaranteed activity for Bible every week. Every Friday, the kids turned in a memory verse design. In this activity, the kids took their treasure verse or memory verse and designed a pictorial representation of what the verse taught. It was exciting to see how the children inspired one another in designing meaningful memory verse designs. If I, however, assigned an extra assignment for Bible, I would write it on my very large calendar. The calendar was in front of the classroom and contained all assignments that were not included in the syllabus. I wrote key items necessary for the kids to know what assignment was due and who was responsible for turning it in. For instance, if a PowerPoint assignment was given to 5th through 8th grades, I would write it on the bottom half of the box. I did this for continuity. Assignments assigned to 1st through 4th grades were written on the top half of the box. In the PowerPoint example, I would write 5 through 8, Bible, PowerPoint. By checking the classroom calendar for assignments, the students' memories were triggered, and it allowed them to complete an assignment not stated on their copy of the syllabus. On that note, I did opt to give my students a copy of the syllabus because they interacted with it by writing certain IXL grades, which I would later verify. It helped them to be independent and allowed me to be better organized. For other subjects such as math or science, you can follow your scope and sequence. If you do not have one, you may photocopy the table of contents of your teacher's edition book or a student book and decide which lessons you will merge, spend more time on, or simply omit. Remember, teachers who excel in the classroom do not necessarily teach every single lesson in the textbook. They develop the whole child by wisely using available curriculum and resources. Although multi-grade classrooms may require more of a routine-based structure, we do not have to complete every single lesson printed in a particular textbook. Let's take a closer look at this. Let's take this social studies book table of content. As you can see, the textbook has 4 units. That makes things easy for me because my report card's grading periods are divided into 4 9-week segments. Therefore, I know that each unit will be taught in one of the 9-week grading periods. Look at the first quarter or first 9-week grading period. I see that it runs from August 14 to October 13. I have chosen to teach social studies on Mondays and Wednesdays. Therefore, I have 18 teaching days. However, there are 4 teaching days being interrupted. Consequently, I will need to teach the contents found in Unit 1 in 14 teaching days. Now that I know this, I decide what activities and lessons I want to emphasize. Once that is decided, I simply insert page numbers, keywords, or anything that will assist me in being organized for this subject. If you're following the So Smart Social Studies curriculum, you would follow the same principle. Essentially, you would decide how to divide the first 9 weeks material into the number of teaching days you have. This will help you stay on track and not fall behind. It will also keep your planning realistic. One of the most challenging things to learn in managing multi-grade is student downtime. You will always have something to do. Students, however, finish things quickly. If we do not guide our students to be self-managed and productive, our classrooms have the potential of becoming very unpleasant for both us and our students. It is always best to instruct your students on your expectations. This is why planning and routines are so critical in managing a multi-grade classroom. As the children and you become accustomed to a set schedule, things will run smoother with less student interruptions asking what to do next. I would like to encourage you, write out your long-term planning goals for your classroom. May the Lord bless your ministry in His vineyard.